The Empire's first mistake. The Galactic Empire had grown so ancient, so powerful, and so accustomed to obedience that it no longer recognized danger, even when it stared directly into its many-eyed face. For millennia, its fleets had subjugated star systems across the spiral arm with calculated, rhythmic cruelty. Any species that resisted was disciplined. Any that questioned authority was integrated. It was an order shaped by arrogance, maintained by fear, and accepted by most worlds as unchangeable. Humanity was supposed to be no different. Earth was discovered on a quiet cycle, a minor blue planet orbiting a yellow sun at the edge of a largely ignored frontier. Imperial surveyors expected a species barely beyond chemical rockets, perhaps capable of building satellites, nothing more. They certainly did not expect a planet that had unified the moment the first Imperial cruiser entered orbit and declared that Earth was not to be touched. The Empire did not negotiate. It never had. Their message was simple: submit, integrate, comply. And so the first interstellar war in human history lasted 12 hours. The Empire's plasma bombardment shredded Earth's orbital platforms. Energy nets wrapped around continents. And in the aftermath of the Empire's victory, an imperial governor was installed to guide humanity toward cultural elevation. That was the official phrasing. Humans used a different word: occupation. Resistance erupted instantly. It wasn't organized or strategic. It was emotional, spontaneous, raw. 1,000 small rebellions burned in forests, city ruins, and underground networks. Humans fought with ferocity the Empire found both laughable and inconvenient. Their weapons were primitive, their strategies chaotic, their courage pointless. Or so the Empire believed. The act that changed everything was never planned. It wasn't part of a resistance strategy or a calculated terror display. It was, in fact, a bureaucratic decision made under pressure. A convoy of human resistance volunteers was captured in the mountains of northern Pakistan. Among them was a doctor, young, calm, dedicated, who had been treating civilians injured during an imperial crackdown. Her medical credentials meant nothing under imperial law. Aiding resistance operatives was treason. The governor wanted obedience. He wanted fear. He wanted to break this stubborn, irrational species that refused to understand the futility of defiance. So he broadcast her execution live. Across Earth. Across the Empire. Across every channel her screams could reach. He believed it would end resistance. He believed it would teach humanity humility. He believed it would prove the Empire's absolute power. He did not know who she was. He did not know who her father was. Admiral Jonathan Hale watched the broadcast from a bunker beneath what remained of the United Nations Defense Command headquarters. In the glow of a shattered holoscreen, he watched his daughter kneel in chains. He watched the governor read charges in a bored tone. He watched a plasma blade ignite above her neck. He did not cry. He did not scream. He did not rage. He went silent. The bunker around him waited. Officers, engineers, resistance leaders, each one frozen by the look in Hale's eyes. It was not grief. It was not despair. It was purpose. When the broadcast ended, he stood. The silence around him felt heavy, electric, inevitable. "Prepare the Black Archive," he said. Those words changed the course of galactic history. The Empire did not know that humanity had developed secret technologies, dangerous, experimental, and buried deep under oceans, ice shelves, and old missile silos. They were untested, unstable, forbidden. But they had been built because humans feared what might come from the stars long before the Empire arrived. Project Cerberus, the Helios Protocol, the Ghost Drive, weapons not meant for conquest, but for extinction-level defense. Now, Admiral Hale intended to use them for something else. Retaliation. Earth's governments, once fractured by politics, now shared something far stronger: a unified fury. When Hale called the Resistance Council into session, no one refused. He stood before them, a towering figure carved by decades of war, his uniform torn, burned, and stained. "They murder my daughter," he said. "They will murder all our children unless we stop them." Silence. This is no longer survival. Hale continued. This is retribution. A vote was called, one representing the largest unified human decision ever made. Do we retaliate? The tally was unanimous. Yes. Across bunkers, caves, ruined cities, and off-world outposts, humanity began to mobilize. Engineers unlocked forbidden labs. Soldiers trained with vicious determination. Refugees whispered prayers of vengeance. Scientists stripped safety locks from prototypes and replaced them with countdown timers. By the end of the cycle, a new faction was born. Not an army, not a rebellion, not a movement, a purpose, the Human Retaliation Front, and at its head, Admiral Jonathan Hale, who carried no flag now, only a photograph of a daughter the Empire had taken. As he stood before his newly formed fleet, ragged, damaged, but burning with resolve, he spoke the words that spread across the stars like a spark dropped into an ocean of dry leaves. We will not bow. We will not submit. We will not forgive. He raised his gaze toward the sky, toward the empire that believed humans were broken. We will retaliate. Far above Earth, the Empire's ships drifted lazily, their commanders complacent. They would not remain complacent for long, because the Empire's worst enemy was not humanity's technology. It was humanity's resolve. And now it had awakened. Rise of human fury. The Empire did not understand fear. It administered it, weaponized it, and relied on it. But the concept itself, the raw animal sensation of being hunted, was foreign to a civilization that had not been challenged in thousands of years. Its admirals had forgotten what it felt like to lose. Its governors had never known the consequences of a mistake. That changed in the Sirius system. The outpost orbiting Sirius B was considered invulnerable. Triple-layered shields, patrol squadrons, psychic dampeners, and a fortress platform capable of vaporizing asteroids. It was meant as a symbol of imperial dominance. Admiral Jonathan Hale chose it as his first target. Because of that, humanity's first retaliatory strike began not with a declaration, but with silence. A fleet of 14 ships, patched together from stolen imperial transports, salvaged military frigates, and prototypes from hidden Earth labs, slipped through space wrapped in the invisible cloak of the Ghost Drive. They left no energy signature, no warp trail, no psychic echo. To the Empire, they simply did not exist. Hale stood on the command deck of the Resolute, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the holographic model of the Sirius outpost. His officers waited, barely breathing. Helios infiltration in progress, reported Sarah Vance, his chief systems engineer. Her voice trembled, but her hands danced steady across the console. We're inside their firewall. Psychic relay sensitivity down 40%. Hale gave a slow nod. Begin stage 1. Helios protocol activated. Invisible tendrils of code, part machine, part quantum virus, slithered into the outpost's central grid. Imperial technicians noticed nothing at first. The lights flickered, displays stuttered, but those were common glitches in the Empire's aging infrastructure. Then the outpost's sensor grid shut down with a single, soft click. Imperial Commander Rethian frowned and tapped the console. Reset the array. It is not responding, sir. Then call engineering. We cannot connect to... The outpost's alarm screamed to life. Too late. Hale's fleet dropped their cloak. To the Empire, they materialized out of nothing, ghosts of metal and fire. Stage 2, Hale ordered. Human railguns ignited with blinding arcs. Slugs accelerated to relativistic speeds, tore through the outpost's outer hull. Plasma batteries returned fire, but their targeting systems were blinded. Their psychic command net crackled with static. Within 7 minutes, the Sirius outpost, once a shining monument of imperial power, was a burning ring of debris drifting in the void. Humanity had announced its return to the galaxy. The Empire's reaction was predictable. Denial. The Royal Council convened in the Imperial Spire, their crystalline chamber humming with telepathic whispers. Each member projected certainty, superiority, and contempt. A malfunction, one noble insisted. Sabotage, another argued. An internal rebellion, a third declared. None dared utter the forbidden possibility. Humans did this. Only Vicarian Drell, the Emperor's chief strategist, spoke the truth. This was a coordinated strike. Efficient, targeted, unpredictable. It bears the hallmark of human design. The nobles hissed in disapproval, offended by the very suggestion that a young, frontier species could threaten their empire. But Vicarian pressed on. You underestimate their psychology. Humans do not surrender when wounded. They retaliate. His warning went ignored. Arrogance had calcified the Empire's mind. Hale did not wait for them to comprehend. He moved to the second target, the Calexis shipyards, birthplace of the Empire's Paladin-class warships. If the Empire still believed the serious attack was an accident, Calexis would force them to face truth. The strike force arrived under Ghost Drive cover. Human infiltrators, equipped with adaptive camo suits and nanite injectors, slipped aboard the shipyard's superstructure. They sabotaged reactors, disabled stabilizers, and planted antimatter charges. Everything was done quietly, efficiently, human style. When the charges detonated, the explosion lit up the entire moon. Molten metal rained across Calexis. 3 half-built Paladin warships melted into slag. The shockwave shattered the windows of the governor's palace on the planet below. This time, the Empire could not deny what had happened. Humans had struck them again, and again, with perfect precision. Across Imperial space, fear began to spread, not among the rulers, but among the ruled. Enslaved species watched these attacks with hope they hadn't felt in generations. Whispers spread in mines, factories, and prisons. Humans are fighting back. Humans can win. Maybe we can too. The Empire hated whispers. Whispers were the seeds of rebellion. Humanity's legend grew faster than Hale anticipated. Resistance cells across Earth linked with volunteer networks on Mars, Titan, and Europa. Refugees from oppressed alien species offered maps, codes, and long-hidden secrets. Hale welcomed them all. His fleet expanded. His operations refined. His resolve sharpened. But victory came with a cost. Imperial counterattacks grew fiercer. Entire human safe zones were wiped out. Hale received casualty lists so long they printed in columns. One night, alone on the deck of the Resolute, he replayed the last message from his daughter. "Dad, don't let them break us." It steadied him. It reminded him of purpose. The tipping point arrived during a covert briefing. Sarah Vance displayed the data stolen from Calexis, schematics of the Empire's psychic communication network, the invisible lattice binding every Imperial fleet. "If we dismantle this," she said, "their entire command structure collapses." Hale studied the diagrams. He already knew what this meant. "Prepare Helios Omega," he said quietly. "We bring down their psychic relay." "And after that?" Sarah asked. Hale turned toward the stars, his eyes reflecting cold, unyielding fire. "After that, we go for their throne." The Empire believed humans were prey. Soon, they would learn humans were hunters. The road to the throne world. The fall of the psychic relays did not happen immediately. It began as a trembling, an almost imperceptible quiver in the networks that held the Galactic Empire together. Psychic channels flickered. Long-range commands stalled. For the first time in centuries, entire fleets waited in confusion for orders that did not arrive. Something was breaking. The Empire did not yet know it was the Helios Omega virus eating through their mental lattice like acid. Admiral Jonathan Hale watched from the command deck of the Resolute as star maps updated in real time. Imperial activity across half a dozen systems had slowed by up to 40%. Patrol routes overlapped. Reinforcement schedules lagged. Psychic beacon traffic fell into chaotic desynchronization. Humanity had found the Empire's nerve cluster, and Hale had stuck a knife into it. Still, he knew this was only the beginning. The Empire, even wounded, remained vast. Its fleets could outnumber humanity 100 to 1. Its armies still held entire worlds in chains. "So we move now," Hale said quietly. Captain Rourke, his operations chief, leaned forward. "Straight into the core systems?" "Straight to the throne world," Hale corrected. The bridge fell silent. Archaean Prime, the beating heart of the Empire. A fortress planet carved from obsidian and wrapped in energy shields strong enough to withstand supernova shockwaves. Even at full Imperial strength, no enemy had ever reached its atmosphere. To go there now, with a fractured human fleet, seemed impossible. But Hale no longer believed in impossible. He believed in necessary. Plans began forming like storm clouds. The Resolute's maps flickered with red markers as officers projected the approach routes toward Archaean Prime. The Empire's psychic relays kept their fleets functioning, and even crippled, they cast shadows across nearby systems. The throne world remained protected by hundreds of warships, orbital defense rings, and a legendary Astra Dominion Guard. But Hale's strategy was not built on brute force. It was built on unpredictability. Stage 1, he said, tapping the hologram. We hit the Karzun relay again. Harder this time. Disrupt the remaining psychic channels around the throne. Stage 2, added Sarah Vance. We use the ghost drive ships to slip past their outer perimeter. They won't sense us until we're inside their shield envelope. And Stage 3, Rourke asked. Hale looked around the room. I'll land a kill team directly inside the Imperial Citadel. No one spoke. They knew Hale meant what he said, and they knew he would lead the team himself. The Empire's answer to humanity's growing strength came swiftly and violently. In the Titan sector, an Imperial strike force emerged from warp without warning. Their objective was simple: eliminate the human stronghold hidden beneath Titan's icy crust. Their bombardment shattered caverns, collapsed supply depots, and cut off entire resistance tunnels. Over 3,000 human fighters were killed in the first hour. Hale arrived too late to save them. He walked among the ruins, the blackened ice, the crushed armor plates, the melted shelters, his jaw locked, his fists trembling. He found a child's drawing pinned to a half-destroyed support beam, a stick-figure family holding hands under a sun. A Sun Titan never had. He folded the drawing carefully. Then he stood, gaze burning. This ends at Archaean Prime, he said. 2 days later, Hale's fleet gathered in the shadow of a dying star. Not just humans, Vraxian scouts, Alari smugglers, exiled mystics from the Rim, and countless refugees who had suffered under the Empire's heel. They had all come because Hale had done something no species had ever accomplished. He had made the Empire afraid. Representatives of the Vrax and Alari stood before him now. Their languages differed, but their message was the same. Let us fight with you. Hale accepted. We don't need subjects, he said. We need allies. For many of them, it was the first time anyone had spoken to them as equals. The final planning session took place in the Resolute's war room. Maps shifted, defenses rotated, calculations updated by the second. Archaean Prime glowed like a dark star at the center of the holomap. Sarah Vance adjusted her glasses. Once we disable their psychic shield array, their coordination drops to nearly zero. They'll still have numbers, Rourke warned. They've always had numbers, Hale replied. That ended the discussion. He turned toward the assembled officers. We strike hard. We strike fast. And we strike the head, not the limbs. One by one, officers saluted. On the eve of the assault, Hale found himself alone on the observation deck. The stars stretched like a river across eternity. In his hand, he held the last message from his daughter. He did not play it anymore. He had memorized every word. Dad, don't let them break us. A quiet breath escaped him. They won't. Behind him, the doors hissed open. Sarah Vance approached, hesitating. Sir, you don't have to lead the kill team yourself. Yes, Hale said softly, I do. You could die. Hale turned. His eyes were not angry or hardened. They were tired but steady. I'm not doing this for vengeance anymore. Then why? For the future she never got. Sarah swallowed, nodded once, and departed. The fleet moved out. Hundreds of ships, human and alien, slipped through dark space on ghost drive signatures. They formed a spear, silent and invisible, aimed at the heart of the Empire. Stage 1 unfolded flawlessly. The Karzun relay crumbled. Psychic networks fell into chaos. Imperial communications dissolved into disarray. Stage 2 activated moments later. Ghost Drive cruisers bypassed the first and second defensive rings around Archaean Prime before Imperial scanners even registered anomalies. By the time the Empire realized what was happening, Hale's fleet was already upon them. Stage 3 was ready. Deploy the kill team, Hale commanded. Drop pods launched like falling stars. Toward Archaean Prime, toward the Citadel, toward the Emperor. Humanity was done surviving. Now was coming to end a throne. The day humanity spoke for itself. The throne room of the Galactic Imperial Palace had once been a symbol of unshakable power. 30-meter pillars of obsidian reached toward ceilings carved with the faces of 1,000 conquered species. Golden banners, each representing a subdued world, hung with arrogant weight. For millennia, it had been the beating heart of imperial dominance. And now, a single human walked its marble floor, boots echoing like war drums. Sergeant Aria Locke did not pause. She did not admire the architecture. She did not acknowledge the ceremonial guards lying unconscious behind her. Her gaze was fixed entirely on the man. No, the thing who had shattered her home, murdered her people, and declared humanity a short-lived experiment. Emperor Vadrax 13 sat rigidly upon his throne, claws curled around its arms. For the first time in recorded history, his tendrils trembled. His voice, usually a booming command that could silence a battalion, wavered. "You dare step here alone?" Aria kept walking. Her armor, once standard Terramarine composite, had been reinforced using salvage tech from the Empire's own fallen war machines. Her left shoulder plate bore the scorch marks of the orbital strike that had eliminated her family. Every step she took was a declaration. Humanity was done asking for mercy. "I warned your commanders," Aria said. Her voice was low, controlled, a razor wrapped in silk. "I warned your generals. I warned the Senate. You called humanity pests. You declared we would not retaliate." Her eyes narrowed. "You were wrong." Vadrax surged to his feet. "Human filth. You believe you can end an emperor? You believe your species can break an empire that swallowed 1,000 stars." Aria stopped at the base of the throne steps. "Not believing," she said. "Just doing." The Emperor hesitated. His gaze flicked toward the entrance, but the palace walls had sealed behind her, overrun with her overrides. The Terran fleet had disabled the palace defenses from orbit. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Empire's capital was vulnerable. And for the first time in 1,000 years, its emperor was alone. "You are one woman," Vadrax hissed. "Your world burns. Your families are dust. Humanity is on its knees." Aria lifted her chin. "Humanity doesn't kneel." She tapped her wrist module. The hologram that flared to life beside her showed the Terran armada, once thought shattered, descending in precise formation over the Imperial capital. Thousands of ships, refitted and reforged in secret, under the leadership of survivors who refused extinction. Vadrax staggered. "That fleet should not exist." "It exists because you taught us exactly what you are," Aria replied. "You taught us we could not coexist with you. And humans learn fast." The Emperor bared his fangs, tendrils writhing in fury. "You think killing me will end this war?" Aria finally ascended the steps. "No," she said softly. "Killing you ends your empire." Her hand hovered over her sidearm, but she did not draw it. Instead, she unlatched the magnetic restraints around her gauntlet, letting it fall with a heavy clang. The gesture stunned Vadrax. "You're unarmed," he breathed. "I want you to understand something," Aria murmured. "Humans don't win because we're stronger, or because we're smarter, or because we have better weapons." She stepped so close he could see the reflection of himself trembling in her visor. "We win because we refuse to stay down." And then she moved. The fight was not prolonged. It was not dramatic. It was not operatic. It was precise. Every strike Aria landed was fueled by loss, but guided by training. Every time Vadrax attempted to counter, she redirected him with the brutal efficiency of a veteran who had survived too many wars to count. The Emperor crashed to the steps, breath ragged, regal robes torn. "You cannot," he gasped. Aria stood over him, picking up her gauntlet and reattaching it. "This isn't vengeance," she said quietly. "This is closure." She activated her wrist module. A single human voice echoed across the galaxy, broadcast from orbit, carried by Terrancom relays that now pierce the Imperial network. The Emperor of the Galactic Empire has fallen. Humanity stands unbroken. Shouts erupted across star systems. Uprisings that had waited centuries ignited like wildfire. Species long enslaved rose with a fury that matched humanity's own. The Empire's control shattered not with a scream, but with the sound of hope returning. Vadrax saw it in her visor and let out a broken laugh. "You planned this." She nodded. "You destroyed Earth," she said, "and humans don't forget what you take from them." Ending him was not difficult. It took only a clean, practice motion, quick, final, merciful only by human standards. When it was done, Aria did not cheer. She did not smile. She simply stood before the throne, breathing the cold air of a world that had once celebrated the enslavement of her kind. Her calm crackled. "Sergeant Locke, we're receiving signals from across the Empire. Species are defecting. Worlds are joining us." "You did it." Aria finally exhaled. "No," she corrected, stepping away from the body. "Humanity did." And as the Terran banner unfurled above the Imperial Palace, Aria Locke walked into the dawn of a new age. One humanity had forged not with diplomacy, not with surrender, but with the undeniable truth of their nature. When humans retaliate, they do so completely,